guys, this is Orsi and this is going to be a little start for the next year actually. I mean, I'm gonna be posting it, I think, first week of January, because you know, this year 2023 is the Chariots year, and I was just thinking that originally I wanted to do a video response to Kim about my favorite devil cards, which I still, you know, want to do at some point. But I already had a video where I went through all of my decks and picked favorites for each card position. So I was just thinking that I can delay the devil a little and start with something else instead, because you know, this year is the Chariots year. So I selected 7 of my favorite chariot depictions. There are more, but I kind of wanted to do 7, obviously, for obvious reason. If you have favorites in this category of card, please do share it in the comments, or if you do a video about something like this. I'm assuming, you know, other people will do similar things, because, you know, we like to take the opportunity to go through our collection and look at it from a different point of view. So, you know, if you do something like that, I think I will add a hashtag just in case someone else does it and, you know, want to include it. But if you know about a more popular hashtag or something like that, please do let me know, so, you know, I can find these videos. But anyway, even if you don't want to do a video, just, you know, respond in the comments, because I love talking to you guys. So I'm gonna start with the Supernatural Tarot and explain kind of, I think, what, or I maybe not explain what the Chariot card means to me right away, just show a different aspect of the meaning, how I read the card through the decks. Because I think what I learned about the Chariot when I started learning tarot was movement, you know, moving forward. But also what was important is balancing your intellectual side and your emotional side, for example. So balancing two things so that you can able to move forward. Because if you don't balance things out, you're not moving, you're kind of stuck. So that was something that I always looked for in the Chariot card. But there are a few here that are kind of a little different. So first one is, like I said, the Supernatural Tarot. And why I love this Chariot is not just because it depicts the vehicle, you know, this beautiful car that Sam and Dean always just travels around. So it's an actual physical thing that they use to move from one place to the other, but because of how the word card actually features them sitting in the car, and you know, you can see red and you know, probably evil behind them in the rear view mirror. And I kind of like that idea that once you can manage to move forward, you can actually find your place and find a better place to be using that energy. So I like that connection in this deck between these two cards. But, you know, this talks about more of the physical element of the card, the moving from one place to the other. So it can be used as actual traveling, for example, in readings, or, you know, can mean actual traveling. The second one is the Everyday Witch Tarot. These are the backs, or this is the back because the rest is here. And this Chariot is kind of, for me, depicts the moment before you start moving forward, because this is the confused part where you're not entirely sure which way you want to go. Your two sides, how I read, you know, the emotional and the intellectual, is pulling you into two directions, and you're stuck. Because this Chariot is, you know, even if this witch has a motorcycle, she's not moving. So this is the before the chariot moment actually happens for me, because yeah, because like I said, chariot is movement, but we usually found ourselves in this position when we ask for help from the tarot. So when this card comes up in a reading, when I'm using this deck, it's always a reminder that you can move forward, but you have to make adjustments. You have to get clarity because something is not balanced out. So it's more about that, connecting to temperance, for example. Okay, so that's the Everyday Witch Tarot. The third one is a more fun one, is the Zombie Tarot. And this Chariot is, it's a fun one, but it's also a clever one, because this shows, and I hope you can, I mean, you're supposed to see it. It shows a funeral car that carries, like a coffin, but there are machine guns on the top, and there's a guy who's also shooting out from the window, because sometimes moving forward and leaving the past behind can be tricky, and it's not just it's not always just, oh, you need to get things balanced inside you, or in your head, in your heart, for to move forward, but you have to deal with the outside world. And I'm not saying obviously that zombies are gonna go after you if you try to change something drastically, because I read the major arcanas as big things in our lives, so a change with the chariot would be a drastic one. But sometimes people are not adjusting well for you to finding a new way, because they are used to you being someone who goes, I don't know, always on to the right, and you suddenly decide to go to the left, and they don't understand, and they panic. And I think this card can talk about the outside implications or consequences of a decision that comes with the chariot, which I really like. It's a fun deck, the Zombie Tarot is a fun deck, but it's also a very good deck. Okay, next one is one of my, not just all-time favorite, but foundational deck, if not the foundational deck, to be honest. And why I like this is because this is how I learned the chariot energy is exactly. And what I mean by that is it moved forward, the horses are moving forward. They are not tied to the chariot with force, and the person directing them doesn't have the rein in their hands, because once things are balanced, once you find your way, everything falls into their place, and the chariot moves even without you actually, holding on to your dear life. So it has that momentarily bliss, I think, when you find equilibrium or temperance or just balance and harmony, and you move forward because you know that this is your path, this is exactly where you are supposed to go, so you don't have to force anything. And this is not a moment, obviously, that lasts for a very long time, but this is the pure essence of how I read the chariot card. So it's absolutely the archetypal, most perfect version of how or what we can experience, and how we can experience the chariot card. And when this card comes up, I always feel like it's a reminder, or it's a promise that you can find your path, and you can actually find inner peace and happiness to know that your decisions are exactly what they are supposed to be, that they are the correct and right ones for you. It's not talking about the outside element, it's the inside one. At least this, how I read it. Okay, and only 2 left because, yeah, no, there are 3. Okay. Next one is the Spacious Tarot. And this chariot is from, this depiction is from the point of view of the person on the chariot, I guess, or being the chariot. And I don't really like decks. I realized, in the past, I think year, I don't really like decks that are inviting you to actually be in the cards. For me, it's very important to find that objectivity that you can only find when you're outside of a situation. But I really, like this deck. I mean, I like the idea of it. I need to spend more time with it. But what I liked about this depiction is that the road is, like a river between 2 tall. I would say these are mountains, or like hillsides, or whatever, something like that. And they can lead into the ocean, or they can lead just into a more peaceful place. But the water element, bringing in the emotions and how rocky things can be, the hardness of the outside world, depicted with the mountainsides, are something that I really do appreciate, because for me this is a reminder that the road is not going to be an easy one. It's not going to be a paved, beautifully decorated, brightly lit, easy road that you're on, as in your life path, because life is not like that. But it's also a reminder that you can still do it. You can find your path even if you don't think you can. And something else that I get from this card is try not to think about too far ahead, because what you need to focus on is the current, position where you are. Because yes, this could be a sunrise, it could be some beautiful light that's waiting for you over there, but you need to get over these waters first. And if you're keeping your eyes always on, in the future, and you're not paying attention to what's happening in the here and the now, you can actually run into some rocks underwater that will, hinder your movement. So I really do appreciate that part of the card as well. Obviously, this is just how I read it. I'm quite curious how the people read this card. And then 2 that is a little different. The Mystical Moments, which is a new deck for me, so I haven't really actually used it, but I obviously went through the cards and looked at them, and I knew the deck because other people used it. And besides the fact that, yeah, it's a snail and I love snails, I think this card is a good reminder that progress is not always a fast one and a quick one. And just because you made that adjustment in your life, that you're now able to move forward to the direction of your own path, doesn't mean that you're gonna be, like running around like a lightning bolt. Sometimes the start, at least, of the movement, or maybe the whole, journey, is going to be at a snail's pace. But it doesn't mean that you're not supposed to, take it, or you're supposed to just try to struggle against the energy and be like, oh, but I want to, move forward, and why am I not moving as fast as other people? Because that comparison, even with the idea of how you think you're supposed to move, is just useless, because it's not helpful. It's just actually slowing you even more down, and it's not the important part. So, when this card is gonna come up, it will remind me that slow movement is still a movement, and it's important to appreciate that you're able to put one foot, yes, one foot forward, and then the next. So I really like that aspect, a reminder. And the last one, yes, the last one is one of my favorite decks, which could be considered as a fandom deck, I guess, because it's based on a book. I don't even know, is that a fandom deck? Good question. And it's about the little prince, you know, flying with doves and how he travels. And for me, this card is a reminder that it's important for you to believe that you can move forward, that you can find your own path. It's the importance of imagination and belief in your own destiny, in a way that you have a purpose. You came here to this earth to do something. And I know that, you know, not everybody believes in that, but I do. And I don't think that every time we come and visit Earth, because I do believe in reincarnation, I've seen enough from the other side to know that there is another side. You know, empirical, my own experience. But sometimes the experience that you have, or the lesson that you have to learn, is not saving the world, or not doing something, you know, like big like that. I think most of us, or maybe it was just me, fell into the trap that when you decide on believing that you have a purpose, you think that it's gonna be a big one, like creating something amazing. And I think that's part of human nature, and that's why we move forward as a species. So I think that's a good thing. But sometimes we need to settle with that purpose being something small as leading a good life, because maybe that's why you're here, to experience a life where you need to make good choices and stick with them. And that's not an easy life, and it might not be consequential to other people's, you know, in a big scale life, but it doesn't mean that it's not important. But it all starts with believing that you have a purpose, that you are worth being here, that you're doing something good when you're making the right choices. So for me, this is a reminder of more of the spiritual path that I am on, or, you know, people can be on when I do readings for other people. So another layer to the Chariot, which I really, really do enjoy. So yeah, these are 7 of my favorite ones. I hope these were, you know, different enough from each other at least. And it was, you know, like interesting for you guys. I always like hearing about how people read cards. So if, like I said, if you do something similar, please do let me know, because especially the explanations why people, you know, read certain cards the way they do are always important to listen to, for me at least, because I can learn a lot from you guys in the community. So if you do something like that, please do let me know, and hope this was interesting. And I'm not gonna wish you a happy 2023 because I know better. But what I'm gonna wish you all watching this video, and even if you don't, you just won't know, is finding a way to move forward from the past few years into a direction that will serve us better and will bring us more peaceful and happier moments. I know it's a big wish, but yeah, thanks so much for being here. I'm gonna see you around in the new year as well, or in this current one, you know, the fresh one. But I do really appreciate everyone who's watching my videos, leaving comments, likes, subscribing, because, you know, that helps my channel, shows me that you guys are interested. But yeah, thank you so much. Have a lovely day, and see you in the next one. Bye.